Hello and welcome back to another episode of Rulebook RX. I'm Dee, and today we're going to be taking a look at Distilled by Paverson Games. For those of you guys that don't know, Distilled, the spirited strategy game, is all about distilling different kinds of liquor. So we're going to be taking a look at all the different UI UX components and rulebooks that come with this game. I'm going to say right off at the front, there's a nice little tutorial book, and we're going to show you that in a second, but we're going to take a look at all the things that make it easy for you and your friends to get distilling in Distilled right now by Paverson Games. All right, and here we go. We're going to be talking about the two different rulebooks that come with Distilled. We've got a regular rulebook here, and then the first taste here, which we're going to be talking about in just a little second. So let's talk about the rulebook. Opening up, no surprises here. We've got just a little introduction to the game. You're going to be inheriting some kind of distillery, and you're going to be trying to make it the best you can. Here we've got the components. Starting out right away, we're going to notice like right here at the top, this components is in like a gold little banner, and that's going to continue on to show each of the different sections, which I always like when there is some kind of visual direction that these are the different sections. Even over here, we got introduction. Probably doesn't need it right there, but hey, you know what? Let's keep with consistency. That's always a good thing. Flipping it over here, we've got a little prompt that you don't need to enjoy whiskey while playing it, but why not? But we have a really good visual representation here of what's going to be set up and how you're going to do that. I love that they have these little directions to parts of little symbol up here, which is going to show you which tastings pair well together. I'm going to draw your attention to that in just a little bit. Once again, there's a lot of visual text here to kind of explain things further of what needs to go where, but I love when they have the setup along with like a numerical guide to send you on your journey for setting up the game. There is quite a bit here, but I will say one of the nice things with the UI UX of this game is it comes with some game trays here, which makes that easy setup, along with this little beautiful guy over here that has all of the spirit tokens and your little player tokens right here, which are nice and big and chunky, and everything's really stored nicely, so when you're setting up the game, it actually does go quite quick with everything that we're going to be taking a look at in just a second. So yeah, that's where we have the setup. Let's keep going. This is going to be the player setup area. Now, each of the player setups are going to be kind of dependent on which character you're going to get in the game. So I'm going to take a look here at Angus Douglas from Scotland. Right at the top we have where they're from, which this is, it looks like Europe. So, and it says, oh, he's from Europe, Scotland. So they do have that. So if that's hard to see, you can always read where it is, where they're from right here, because some of that does matter with some of these spirit tokens or spirit awards right here. On the back of these cards, you're going to see, I don't know if that's going to pick up well, once again, there's their region, and then their starting resources. So we've got 2 money, 1 yeast, and a water. We'll be talking about that in a moment here, but that's everything they're going to start with. So you're going to get that, and you're going to be able to set it up quite well with this player aid. Right up here, we've got a little bit of the game overview. Here's your first player token with Slancheva. That's really nice. I typically like having the Slancheva side up, but, hey, to your health. Let's drink to that. Now we've got one thing I love about this. If you're interested in the distilling process or, just building your knowledge base, they do have some of those little things over here, and that's in this like nice wood grain with yellow sections here to help you explain a bit more of what you're going to be learning here about distilling. Really cool stuff. I really like that when they include instructions like that or explanations in a game so thematic like this that helps your understanding of the process. So they kind of go into a little bit further here of the distiller identities, some of the different recipes and special recipes and what that all means. And that's really nice to kind of have that here. Same thing, it's going to explain what these different things do. I'm going to show you this here. What I love about this is it's a little clipboard. These guys are double-sided, so a lot of replayability here. You're going to be looking for which of these. This is an A side here, this is B, and there are tons of other ones that the game comes with. So you're never going to run out of various liquor to be distilling here. Once again, they just have some breakdowns of each of the individual cards. There are a couple different things that you're going to be looking for. These are upgrades. recipe, or not recipes, ingredients here, and then bottles and barrels. So those are explained, right here, and you're going to be using those quite a bit. So we're going to go into gameplay here. And what's nice is they're going to draw your attention to this little power symbol. That's something that you're going to do at the start of each round, which, it's nice that they kind of bring that right away up front. I love it when they do this. Like any really important thing, they have in a really nice attention-grabbing orange, which is great. You can always catch those things, and so any kind of hard to miss or hard to follow rule might be there, or like anything that's easily missed. Really nice that they draw your attention here. Once again, that, these cool little, like, did you know things pop up all over the place, which makes it fun. Right here, I love it when they do this kind of thing with the rulebook to the game. Here they show the exact icons and everything used right here and right there. So you can show that, oh, this is how much these different cubes from in here work. We got bronze, we got silver, we got gold. And how are those going to, how much of those costs are always going to be with these. Well, how much everything is going to cost is going to be the same across the board. So it's always these price tags, which you're going to see sometimes on the bottom here, always on the bottoms of, we got this little fun cat here. This guy's $5 to buy. So I really like that combination, that cohesion between board and rulebook. Here we just have more examples of what's going to be happening in that phase of when you distill it. It's kind of confusing, so I really like that they have the two different examples of the still phase. You've got vodka and you've got rum. Putting it in a little side box like this really grabs your attention. So if you're kind of confused, you can read both different examples and try and get a better idea of what you're doing there. Here we have a little section describing money, and it's not a specific income, which is great because there's all different regions in the board here that they're representing. So I think it's nice they just have kind of a generic money symbol, and then that just helps kind of clarify things and move things forward. So we're finishing up the sell phase here, and then you add bottles. It's nice that they kind of just show that, with here, there are ample player aids. So you can hand that to each player, which has the sequence of everything. So you've got market, distill, sell, and age. Okay, and then at the end of the round, you're going to do a couple other things. And then on the other side, it shows all the different icons that you're going to be paying attention for, and end game scoring. So it's really nice when they do that. It shows everything in the end game, but everything, how you're going to play as well, so players can kind of know what they're planning for. Also, these distill goals, which they're always going to give you the points and all that jazz. We'll talk about that maybe in a little bit. Doesn't need too much explanation. Finally, we go into the age phase here, and end of round once again. This is in that banner section, so okay, all of those phases are over, and this is the end of the round. I like that. Once again, those examples here are in that dark blue background. Really easy to pick that out, as well as here. That color palette looks really sharp together. I'm just saying, I think they did a really good job with this to make it visually entertaining to look at, especially with some of these little pockets of knowledge built in there. You can tell I'm a big fan of that. Finally, we got the game end, explaining everything. That looks great. A little bit of a thing here, like, if you ever run out of cards, you can do this. And commonly forgotten rules. I love it when they do this here. Putting the credits here, I think, is smart. Clears up that back page for those more rule clarifications, which we're going to look at in just a second. This is kind of an interesting thing. They have pairings here, which I think is always cute when they use the terms from, any kind of like wine tastings or bourbon pairings or whatever. They have those set here, but with different players that you could be using from all these different types. It tells you what you should set up to make it easier to play with these different people. So I think that's really nice. And then you can always download something if you don't want to, listen to your own music. They have that option for you. And then finally here, these are all the different areas of the world and the different liquors that they're going to distill from there. So all regions would be whiskey, moonshine, vodka. In the Americas, you've got these four. Asia and Oceania, you got these four. And Europe, you got these four. I think that's really nice. In kind of an explanation of like why they chose some of these kind of crazy characters like a pirate and a nun and a queen, what those mean and why they made those choices. Also in the same colors, with this. I love it when they do that. Everything looks cohesive and is really easy for grabbing that information. Here we've got the explanation of the solo mode, which I think is great. I've played the solo mode a couple times and I think it's really fun. One of the things I think is really clever about this is there's two different types. You've got your A, B, and C. You're going to set that up in a little pyramid here, and they have it shown here on the left, but on the backs of the Bs, these are going to be the cards from rows you're going to be discarding. And I think it's really nice that they didn't need, you know, they use the back of these cards to show what you're going to do, because that's all that really needs. It doesn't need to be in all these, just the Bs. And I think that's really clever because these go off to the side here and you're going to use that in solo mode. You have this solo goal swap card here. Kind of just shows you what you're going to be using with that. It's fine. And finally, on the back, we have got really nice index A, which is really good. But then pretty much everything that you're going to have in the back of those player boards or player cards right here. So if you've got one player with the rule book, it matches exactly this. You've got sequence of around here and end game and icon glossary. So that's looking good. Let's take a look at this other part, the first taste. This is that first step-by-step guide for new players. I love this. I'm not gonna lie, when I was first looking at the rules, I was like, man, this seems like quite a bit of stuff. But being able to reference this guy here with all of the, you know, things set up, you got to set up your upgrades and ingredients and premium items in this exact formula because they are going to reference those. I didn't catch that the first time around, but if you set it up exactly how they have it here, there's going to be no mess ups for the game, and it's going to run quite smoothly. So for this section, so for the learning the game, you're going to be able to choose from one of these 5 ladies here. Sorry if you're offended by not being able to have a dude on as your first play. That's okay. But here we've got the first 5 that you're going to be learning, and then those go in order right here of who's going to be the starting player and down. I think that's really clever. Now, with these different player characters and whatnot, I love when they're able to show. You've got this Gunhild Hellstrom. You know, she's from Sweden, whatever. They have all that up the top here. You know, what kind of special abilities. Once again, everything on the back. But all players are going to come with a special ingredient, a signature ingredient that they have. Miss Hellstrom here, she comes with a nice bit of potatoes, and I love when they show that here. You know, you just pair it really well. Makes things really easy to find there. Now you're going to notice all the ingredients have the same backs on them, from these basic market ones to your premium ingredients. They're all going to have the same back because you're going to do a little bit of deck building in here. You know, they kept those ones very similar on the back, but all the other ones, they do a really good job of, you know, kind of explaining everything here. If you work with this to get the setup down, but then this to really fine-tune it, you're going to have a great first play of this. So they give kind of an introduction here that you can read to the players, and then the start of each round, they're going to tell you who has one of these little green power symbols to start with. Then from there, you just follow right along. Like first purchase, doot. Second purchase, on down with each character explaining exactly what you take. All the way through third purchase, fourth purchase, and then finally, we got fifth purchase here. They still keep with this fun little bit of knowledge that you can always transfer on to people while you're explaining the game. I love that. So now, we're going to be talking about going into the fill washbacks. There's something really nice on these player boards that I think is very clever, because all of your whiskeys are going to need, or all of your liquors are going to need the same thing. We've got yeast, we've got water, and we've got the materials that you're going to be using to try and distill each of your liquors into the different types. So, when we fill the washbacks, it tells you exactly what you're going to be doing and who gets what in terms of alcohols and more. So then you create your spirit stack, reveal distillations, and then from there, even if you can't like do the perfect thing you're looking for, it tells you what the secondary objective that you're looking to do with each of these rounds. I think that that's really great. Moving on down, you add the bottles in a sell phase here, and then it's even going to tell you like, hey, what you can claim as the label rewards. This is great. I taught this to a couple friends from out of town. We were like up and playing after we got through all of this. Even starts around 2 here, and what you're going to get with those power on green tokens, and then future round suggestions. So you can always give that to the other players and say, hey, what do you want to do with this? And then move forward. And then, yeah, this worked out quite well. On the back here, nothing really, and that's fine because they've really taught you everything from here. Once you start that round 2, you are on your own. All right, let's talk about all the different things that they do to help teach the game just from the components alone. Nice player cards. Distribute those. Really easy to follow along. Font's a little small, but I think you should be fine. I have bifocals because I'm old and start, and I was able to read those quite well. For the player boards here, they have a really nice area that you can stick your person right here in the office with their little portrait facing out. You have a storeroom here. Anything like bottles or your starting barrels are going to go right here. And then all of your ingredients are going to go in the pantry. Warehouse here is for your aged spirits. Now you're going to notice it's going to take one of these aging barrels, which I have a little time thing here to say, okay, that's an aged spirit. Finally, up top here, these are the places for your upgrades, which is going to look like this. And they just are going to do exactly what they say. Just upgrade your distillery, making things easier for you down the line. I think these are really smart, the way they're set up so that everything's right here, especially on the side, which I kind of referenced before, showing that you need yeast, you need water, and you need some kind of ingredient, except for moonshine, which you don't really need anything for. So you can always brew something up this round. Next up, with these different cards and stuff like that, this isn't set up how it's supposed to be. You know, there's supposed to be 4 of these in a row, and then this is like where they end up on the truck. There are some cards that reference, oh, you can grab something from the truck. So your truck is basically your discard, and I don't know, I just like that because it's kind of getting out the door and moving on. So you got the truck here, discards. I like that. You can put things here, and then these actually just show you what what are going to always be in this. There's always going to be bottles, barrels, and jugs, and then these are always going to be different types of ingredients. Up here we have the basic market. Now one of the things that I love is right on here, so you can't forget it, is you can only purchase 2 of these cards per round. Why that is, a lot of these are dirt cheap. So you got 0 cost here with the grains, water, and yeast. And some of these are going to cost other items. I didn't set those up because I wanted to be able to show you that they even have what's supposed to be on these stacks underneath here. So I think that that's really nice just to kind of set up things quickly. While you're setting other things up, people can automatically see like, oh gosh, these match all of that. So you can have someone help out with that. The game trays here I think are really handy for setting things up. They do have 2 of them with the exact same kind of stuff in here, and you can just set those on different ends of the table so that it's easy to pull things out and move forward. I talked a little bit about this that has those, you know, all the different spirit labels on there. I think that's super helpful. And then on the top of the board, which you can't really see up here, this is where you're going to stick some of these different spirits. So you can have whiskeys and tequila, whatever is going to be on your tasting board here. So in this situation, we would have whiskeys, kachaka, soju, gin, rum, baijiu, and brandy. So all of those are going to have different point totals that you're aiming for, and then you're going to chart those here with your fun little guys going around here. I like that they're all different snifter styles for, you know, different ways to enjoy your beverage. So I think that that's really nice, and then as well as it just goes up to 10. So when you have 10, if you go up by 10 points, you can just go down 1. I love it when they do that. Instead of making it an odd size, you got to, you know, kind of figure it out, especially if you've had a couple. That makes it quite easy. Also, I kind of referenced this. Your signature recipe, they have a nice little cutout here. It's dual layered. Same with this. You can slide these in, so this is infinitely playable. And then right here is where you're going to stick these fun little cubes. You got your rum right here, so this says, all right, I can make rum now. You know the recipe. Go for it. So that's cool. And then, yeah, the signature recipe, you can stick this here. It says 1 time only, which is kind of nice. So you stick that there, and you can't really use it anymore. Or you're going to put it out here, and you can put it on one of these, and then that just shows, hey, I've already used that, and it can no longer be used. But in the beginning of the game, you can stick it right here, so everyone can go, ooh, I can make that fun thing. Game comes with this fun little barrel as your player marker. I think that's great. Also, right here, this is I think one of the most fantastic parts of this. Instead of in the beginning of the game giving players, a bunch of different cards, you're going to start with, I think, 3 of them, right? 3 of these distillery goals. And then on turn 3, once you get to turn 4, that's when you discard one of them. So now you've already had a couple rounds of seeing where you're going, seeing which direction you want to go, and then at that point you can get rid of one of your goals and really focus on the other 2. I love it that they did it that way. And then I also love it that they made it very hard to miss by putting it right there. So you just get to round 4, and now you're really honing in for those last 4 rounds. So yeah, other than that, we've got our Spirit Awards right here. Those are going to be laid out for how many players are playing, and you're going to be trying to get those. That's everything that goes into the game. I think they did a really good job of, with these player boards, showing you where to put things, so they're not just kind of like you're building a tableau and everything gets all messy. Everything's here, and then all of these are all the same on all the players, so that you can explain what you're doing, and then people can do whatever action they want to do with those. So that is that. The last thing we got here are our flavor cards and our alcohol cards. You're going to just add alcohol cards whenever you add an ingredient, one of these, like a sugar, a fruit, or a grain. Those provide alcohol. These are kind of interesting because even if your spirit doesn't have alcohol in it, and that goes right into your pantry, right here, then you can use that next round, and that's always going to give you more money. So that's kind of funny that, the more potent your booze gets, you're going to get more money for it. I like that. And then here you go. You've got these are the flavors here, and then you're going to draw one of these and throw them under your aging spirit, and they get fun little flavors with it, which are usually going to add money. They have a rating here of how good it's going to taste. Like, ooh, a nice floral taste is 4 stars, and it's going to give you $2. Cinnamon, $2. Then you got like, how's it going to taste with a sports bag aftertaste? Not too good. That doesn't add any money to it at all, but it will always add victory points because of how the distilling process works, in the game at least. So there we go. That is everything that is in Distilled. I'm sure you can tell, I think everything that I showed you is fantastic. I love that how to teach the game. Each step-by-step part of that makes sense. It's explaining the strategy to you in a way that it's not completely robotic, that you're just doing this, so then all of a sudden come around to you're like, derp, what do I do? I think it does a really good job of showing why you would want to take these things and why that character would want them for that next step. So even if you can't do the big thing they want you to do, they tell you what you're going to do in the meantime. So I think that's really clever. Everything that Eric Everson did with the layout and the graphic design with this, I think is extremely smart. That rulebook, taking a look at it, I think they did a wonderful job of laying out the different sections, having tons of examples to look at, and even all the way through like a full round and just describing the game. Everything in here, it made it extremely easy to teach and to learn. I think this is one of Paverson's first games. Keep them coming like this. Keep those rule books like that. The only thing I can say that are just things that I like is maybe having the background color of those different stages of selling, distilling, and the market phase. Maybe having the backgrounds of those pages be a different color, but that'd be the only thing that I could recommend. Everything else is really easy to follow. I love having those call-outs of this is important. I loved having those easily missed rules at the end, and then having the back of the rule book have, everything that you would need and everything that's just replicated on those player aids. Plenty of player aids that come with the game, and I think all the different components and everything that makes sense. They did a really great job. Now, this game itself, I'm not really doing the review of the game, just the UI, UX, and the graphic design elements within the rule books and everything. That's awesome. And the solo game itself, I thought was a lot of fun. This, it is a very complicated game, so give yourself a little bit of time, to learn it. But using that first taste, really nice way to learn it. So that's what I got to say about Distilled. It gets alive and well, and I can't wait to get this one to the table again. So once again, my name is DD. This is the Rulebook RX. If you like this kind of thing where we talk about rulebooks and the UI UX of games and layout design, come on by. We're going to be here. We'll pour you one. And for now, have yourself a good one and enjoy that parting glass. Slan Shiva.